Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, I never realized until today how much I rely on feedback from the audience to kind of set the pace for what I'm doing. Okay. Several weeks ago, I shared some thoughts and ideas with you from my own experiences about how you might approach the last chapter of your life, the dying part, with perhaps unconsidered new perspectives. Now I would like to continue that sharing. Many of you might take the position that talking about death right now is in very poor taste. Death is swirling all around us now like a cloud of demons. The numbers of coronavirus deaths ever climbing, and it will be the unusual family that is not touched by death before this plague is past. However, death, at least for most of us, does not make appointments. When our time comes, we must go, and screaming about the injustice of it all is just exhausting. These additional perspectives on dying that I wish to share with you, beliefs that have worked with varying success for me, could possibly bring you greater joy and contentment as each of us, you and me, in our own ways, come to terms with the inevitability of personal mortality. But those comments of weeks ago were focused on how you might consider taking care of yourself when you were living the final chapter, with only brief allusions to the others in your life. And there are always others in your life, far more than you might think. This attitude that since you are the one doing the dying, only your feelings and belief count is very much too solipsistic. And I use that word specifically because Jan learned it just recently, and I wanted to give her a chance to practice with it. Solipsism is a philosophy which posits that the individual is the only thing that can be known and verified. Solipsism is a total absorption with oneself without consideration for the needs and desires of others. In common parlance, solipsism is, it's all about me. I would like to avoid the solipsistic label in my remarks, so this morning, I would like to flip that particular coin and share some ideas with you about helping the people who are aware of your existence, your loved one, or at least your liked ones, although through your last chapter, because they will be going through it with you one way or another. As I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks this morning, I have very mixed feelings about sharing more on this topic with you in this time of widespread sadness and suffering. In the United States alone, we are rapidly approaching 5,000 deaths from coronavirus, with more, I think we've surpassed that now, with more than 200,000 confirmed cases. Some experts have rejected the dismal prospect of 250,000 American fatalities before the virus has finally run its course. But the coronavirus is not death's only partner. There are plenty of ways to die, and we all will, sooner or later, in one way or another. However, I would like to take a very controversial position this morning. I believe that no one dies alone. Wait, isn't that heresy? Yes. But I can live and die with that belief. How? Because no one walks or runs, crawls or slouches, wiggles or hops through this life without touching the lives of numerous others. In fact, according to my exhaustive research for this presentation this morning, the average person touches the lives in ways large and small of approximately 6,982 others in the course of their one life. While you understandably may have some concerns about the accuracy of that number, it is beyond dispute that our lives will bump into a lot of others on the way through. We can divide those lives into which we are bumped into three coarse, but therefore more distinct groups. Most of these lives will, fortunately, dance only lightly on the frontiers of our awareness and then be gone in the night like pixie dust. For many lives in the next group, our relationships will span the range from casual encounters to intimate long-term friendships. And finally, in the smallest groups, if we are very lucky, we will know love. In my comments of several weeks ago, my focus was on the achievement of a good death from the perspective of taking care of yourself, what I previously rather pretentiously named the solipsistic approach. This morning, I would like to expand the concept of achieving a good death, and with respect to our responsibility to others whose lives we may have touched, and who we remember and who we care about, to one degree or another as we bump through our own life. The achievement of a good death requires the satisfaction of at least 5 such responsibilities that you carry towards those whose lives you have touched. Despite the appealing drama of the action, just slipping out the side door when it's time to go, and you have left a mess for someone else to clean up, is a selfish act. Let's consider those responsibilities now, presented in no particular order of importance. Prioritizing these responsibilities is your job, to place those responsibilities in a priority order that is relevant only to you, and then apply your energies accordingly. Only you will know how important this task is to the quality of your life during your last chapter and how much energy you have available for each one. The first, and perhaps most important of these responsibilities, and I say that despite the fact that I just said I wasn't going to say this, is the identification of after a lifetime of experience of those behavior traits that will reflect the best you. Those behavior traits that will reflect the best you that you can possibly leave behind in the memories of your loved ones and anyone else you know well enough and in whose opinion you value. You have always admired these qualities in practice when you have encountered them elsewhere. Why not model them for others? What are some of these possible traits? Compassion, kindness, empathy. You must decide what is important to you and what you are willing and eager to practice. Show to others before it is too late. What is holding you back from starting today? A second responsibility is arranging for the final and orderly disposition of all your physical assets. We discussed this important task several weeks ago. Essentially, everyone has 2 kinds of physical assets. Those assets that are destined to be transported to someone else's life, someone else's collection of physical assets, and those that are destined to become trash. It is easier to deal with the trash issue if you simplify first. We all know this is the truth, but we tend to push this awareness of the value of order to the back of the line of useful aphorisms we promised ourselves we would use to guide our lives through because simplification is, sadly, not simple at all. But you have to try. While your pools of physical energy and spiritual inspiration will permit, go through your set of physical assets and consign to the garbage those items for which you cannot identify any redeeming qualities, including that 20-year collection of National Geographic magazines in pristine condition. Then invite those who have an interest to express to you the items they would like to inherit and place their names and contact information upon them. The items, not the people. Those items that are not garbage or items in which others have a proprietary interest can be donated to a worthy charity, such as Habitat for Humanity. Everything else becomes so much easier after you have undertaken an honest simplification. A third important responsibility is the competent completion of the paperwork for the last chapter, such as the designation of a medical surrogate. We also discussed this important task several weeks ago. Neglect this important responsibilities and your loved ones will be angry with you even if you are dead. Nobody wants that. A fourth end of life responsibility is striving to identify those activities that bring you joy and pursuing them as robustly as you can throughout your last chapter, and then communicate your joy to your loved ones. A good death is not complete unless you address your perceived quality of your life. A good death is the final glorious chapter to a good life. You and your loved ones may not always agree on what is a reasonable activity for you as you peregrinate through this final chapter, but it's still your life. I've mentioned previously how much I enjoy my motorcycle. My family and my doctor, for that matter, tried to dissuade me from this activity by pointing out that I was taking blood thinners and an accident on the road would cause me to bleed out almost instantly. I accepted the logic of their arguments, expressed my appreciation for their concern, and announced that I was going to ride my motorcycle anyway. It is my life, and riding brings me joy. I think I mentioned the last time I spoke that I like to sing, I'm going to take a ride on that old gospel ship by the Carter family. A fifth responsibility is sharing your strength and sense of contentment with your loved ones as you travel your final chapter together. Make and take the time to tell your loved ones how much you have enjoyed knowing them and how much you appreciate everything they have done for you over the years. Leave nothing important unsaid. Both of my parents communicated to their children what good lives they had experienced. This meant a great deal to us. You and everyone you loved deserves that peace of mind. A sixth end of life responsibilities, and the end of my list, is your conquest of your list of poignant regrets. That's all in capital letters and in italics. Poignant regrets are those missed opportunities, wrong decisions, and directions in life not taken that cause you sadness and a sense of deep loss. If only I had married that one. If only I had accepted that job offer. If only I had really taken that motorcycle trip from Alaska down to the Isla de Tierra del Fuego at the southern tip of South America. That was on my list of things to do at one time. Take a motorcycle trip from Alaska down to the tip of South America. Such poignant regrets will only bring a pointless misery into your life during your last chapter. And that bitterness is contagious to your loved ones as well. So take your list of regrets and make it as short as you can. Your goal should be 0. Nobody ever dies alone. Live your life to provide your loved ones with memories to celebrate your life as a victory, not your death as a defeat. With your passing, do not think of your death as a disappearance, but rather as the beginning of another journey. The life of the universe is a cycle, and your death opens the door for you to take your rightful place among the stars.